Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another show of Weekends with Amit. Amit is traveling here and there, and this show is trying to catch up with him somehow and sometimes succeeding. This is one of those days. Today's subject is quantum creativity and art. And today we have a little departure from our regular shows. We have a very special guest with us. If I can introduce our guest today, today we have Terry Way with us. Terry is a faculty with Quantum Activism Vishwalayam. Moreover, he is in art, practicing art for almost 5 decades now. And his combination of being a practitioner of art and also a faculty of QAV, Quantum Activism Vishwalayam, puts him in a very unique position to comment on quantum creativity and art. Creativity, whenever we think about it, we cannot really separate it from art. Immediately it comes to our mind. So thank you, Terry, for being on the show. A very, very warm welcome.
Thank you.
And as usual, we have Professor Goswami. How are you?
All good. Thank you, Krishanu.
So today's subject, as I just said, is quantum creativity and art. I believe art is also very close to heart. So let's immediately begin. Your take from the side of the quantum science, how you look at creativity and art.
Thank you, Krishanu. This is a very wonderful subject because there are aspects of creativity that is very difficult to explain with just purely rational means, which is, of course, we generally do because there really isn't very many ways that we can talk about creativity to people. Many people don't even understand the idea that creativity comes from a transcendent domain of reality. It comes through extrasensory means, something like intuition, only deeper, much more detailed insight about something that comes directly from consciousness. Usually, our models of reality is based on what comes from matter. Creativity doesn't. And this makes creativity somewhat mysterious, even mystical, and many people are very leery of it, except that we cannot deny creativity because some of these very creative people, Einstein, Van Gogh, Rabindranath Tagore, you cannot deny these names. They're not only famous. If you look at their work, you'll be astounded. It touches you. Why does it touch you, although you don't understand anything much about Einstein? His science is too far beyond most people. Because you hear the name and something resonates. This is called archetype. We resonate through the creative people's work, through archetypes. Even though we don't always understand it, but many people do, and as soon as you understand it, you resonate and they express it, and that's how people become famous. And then, of course, that resonates with you too. So tonight we are going to discuss something that is very important for us at the Quantum Activism Vishwalayam, because we teach our students beyond rationality. We bring the non-rational elements, we bring through meditation, through yoga, through practices. That's one way. We bring it through quantum leaps of understanding, using rational, but looking for that intuitive moment of insight. And then, because of Terry's presence, we thought of a new way of communicating through arts. Arts also can let us bring emotions into the experience, not just rationality. And this man has already proven with our students that this can be done, this communication through arts can be done. People know about this power of arts in another way. This holistic power of arts shows up in healing arts. Arts can heal. That you already know probably because people are more and more using it. But the way Terry uses it with our students is really something to look forward to. What is very interesting is the whole thing about this extra sensory communication that comes directly from consciousness. Whole thing is that we are very oblivious to intuition when we are in our constricted state of consciousness that we call the ego. We have recently explored brain, and we found that the brain has two modalities. One is the Newtonian brain, the usual brain, and then you don't intuit with that brain much. But if you can go into a state that we call pre-conscious, this is the name that came from Freud himself, pre-conscious, in between deeper conscious state that we sometimes call the inner self, or in quantum physics we call it quantum self, in addition to the ego. This two self state is now verified by neuroscience. There is no doubt about it. This is also the two selves that spiritual traditions have been talking about for a very long time. So these two states we have no doubt. Quantum self for the present centered experience, for the creative experience, for the intuitive experience, and then the ego. What we discovered is that there is a range of experiences that fall in between. They're the pre-conscious. We can enter the pre-conscious and experience that too. And guess what? There is a very famous phenomenon called flow, where the quantum self and ego encounters and talks to each other in an effortless way. Like you don't have to do anything, it's just happening, which is an essential component of creativity. And what but arts can get you into flow easily. So the mystery of the way that Terry teaches communication is that he gets his students into this pre-conscious, into the flow where things happen. Let go of their ego somewhat, and quantum shifts come to the play. And the play becomes a flow between the quantum self and the ego, and this is how creativity dances into us. Terry will explicate the rest of it. Terry?
Well, your explanation is fantastic, Amit. I just learned a couple things listening to you now. Uh, what I concentrate on is mark making or drawing. And we all come into the world knowing how to draw. If you give a small child a crayon and some paper, it just happens. Nobody has to teach a small child how to draw. That that talent or freedom does start to disappear at about age 6 or 7. And usually that's because of conditioning. Suddenly the child realizes when they draw a person, they don't know what a hand looks like or a nose. And through criticism and judgment, usually they stop drawing at 6, 7, 8 years old. And so we have a bunch of adults that are pretty sure they can't draw. And that's primarily because of self-judgment, expectation, and conditioning. So it's great fun to get people in to the class, and I've done a few classes with QAV students, and they're all sure they can't draw. And so the trick is really to make the rational, reasonable mind so bored that it just sort of goes away and ignores and allows the ego to take a rest. And we try and find that subtle little flow place. And there are several tricks. One of the favorite one is to have people pick up a pencil, a good old pencil that no one uses much anymore, and have them do a drawing with their eyes closed, which sounds bizarre. Like, how do you draw something with your eyes closed? You can't even see. And then things like uh, not lifting your pencil, keeping the pencil on the paper and moving all the time, or speeding things up, anything to break the cycle. And so the reasonable mind just says, oh, this is silly. I give up, I go away. And then some freedom can start to happen. And of course, we do these on Zoom meetings, and I get to see their faces. They have their eyes closed, but I'm seeing the faces. And they're smirking, they're smiling, they're working really hard, they're squinting. It's like they're doing manual labor or something. All they're doing is moving a pencil around on some paper. And then when we're done, they look at what they've created, and they know they had their eyes closed, so the expectation is really low, but they're fantastic. It's some of the most creative, loose, wonderful drawings I've ever seen. I mean, there's a looseness, a freshness about that style. So that's kind of, there are many tricks, and then we advance a little bit, and but the whole process, in my experience with the people that have taken the class, is it's very rewarding. They had a good time. They feel refreshed, and they create some things they didn't know they could because they were sure they couldn't draw. So that's kind of what we do here at QAV to try and find that flow state.
Thank you, Terry.
All
Thank you
right.
for the
Thank you.
fantastic. No, you are not free yet. We are still
Okay.
with you.
Okay.
We
Okay.
will just move over to Professor Goswami for his views on what you just said, and if he has something else to add on it, and if there is any question, of course, we can
Very good.
look at it. So over to Professor Goswami again.
Thank you, Krishanu. Thank you, Terry. That was very good to express what you exactly do. And the good news is that Terry has promised to bring this graphic representation or artistic representation, teaching quantum concepts of our various courses this way for our, at least the beginning level courses. So in the first year courses, which are mainly taught to our master's and PhD students, but certification students as well, or a student can also take a course individually. Any of these courses have textbooks and of course webinars, live webinars, and video courses, whole series of lectures and videos. We have those, we have textbook presentations, that too. But now we have added a fifth component, Terry, the graphic representation. So you have so many, oh, did I forget about meditation and practice? That too. So we are making every effort for a participator, a student or a participant, to get into this domain where things happen from directly from consciousness, where we had very little access. Common people have very little access. And this is, of course, why spirituality is so obscure to common people. Yes, it comes to them very often, but they miss it. It comes to them very often in various forms, like a sunset or the beauty of a road or just watching on the river or tree can get you into that expanded consciousness level. But people miss art is a way of reminding you of it because you are deliberately getting into it. You cannot miss it. As Terry explained so beautifully, when you have closed eyes and you're doing something silly, you just drop the ego. And then the enchantment of the preconscious takes you over. And this is the enchanted being that we want to create out of you. You think that mundane and sacred is separate. It's not. We are enchanted every moment. We have the opportunity to live that world every moment. And this is what we try to create. And Terry is joining this endeavor. It's just so wonderful. I wanted everybody to know that look, we have another way of communication. And this is going to be great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you. Yes, I completely agree with Professor Goswami that Terry has been uh, taking us or the students in a direction that I believe no other faculty is capable of doing. So that's a domain which is exclusively for him, and I believe all our students enjoy that. If you also wish to enjoy how we are reaching out to our students, how the classes are delivered, how sorry, cut, how uh, okay, we'll go ahead, record. If you wish to know more about how the classes are delivered, how we reach out to our students, and in what way the unique course that we are delivering. By the way, let me just tell you, probably most of you would already know that we have a master's and PhD program on quantum science of health, prosperity, and happiness. And we have the admissions open for the fall 2022. This is a course which uh, in creativity is inbuilt into it. There are many other aspects to it, not only creativity, but creativity is a basic aspect. And the way we are delivering it with the regular faculty and Terry is something very, very different than what is available elsewhere. If you want to have more information about it, please go to our website www.amitgoswami.org, or you can email us at info@amitgoswami.org. We'll be very happy to answer all your queries. This episode, I believe, gives out a different connotation than the other episodes that we normally have because it throws light on a very, very important part and a very unique way of communicating. Thank you, Terry, for being with us. And also, I'd like to convey the thanks from the students' side who are very happy in the way things are shaping up. And we hope that we will see you again. Thank you so much, both of you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
week.